Okay. So we're now live. I need to apologize to you guys. Um, I actually have no idea what's going on, but literally, um, my laptop, my iPad, and my phone all decided to crap out at the same time. I couldn't get into. We use StreamYard for our live streams, and I couldn't get into StreamYard. It was just all incredibly bizarre. So, I really, really apologize for that. Um, that said, I want to welcome you for joining us to another Run Wild with Us, Ask Us Absolutely Anything. I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder and executive editor of Running Wild Press and Rise Press. And I'm here with one of our amazing acquisition editors, Peter Wright. And we are here with you on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time to answer any questions that you may have around publishing, writing, stories, whatever you want. It's all good. So, with that, we typically take questions in the comments. And what I do is during the conversation, I will go ahead and I'll pull up a question and we'll just answer it in real time. If we don't have a good answer, we'll tell you, hey, I don't have a good answer for that. And typically what that means is we're just going to go out and we'll research it to get you a good answer in the subsequent week. If you're watching this and it is not Thursday, 5 p.m. on the date of the actual live event, it is not a big deal because really all you have to do is go ahead and put your comments in the comments section because we typically do go back and look through the comments to see if anybody left us anything new. And then again, we'll do our best to answer those questions in the next Run Wild with Us, Ask Us Anything. So with all of that, so Peter and I talked a little bit before this session, and what we wanted to do was give you guys an update on our new process for accepting titles. And I think everyone's pretty excited about it. We've all agreed we want to do the same process moving forward, probably about every 4 months. So for those of you who send us your work, hopefully you'll get a faster response in the future from us. Because in the past, typically what we would do is if we found something that we really liked, we would just hold on to it and see if there was an opportunity in the future to publish it. But what that meant was you may not hear from us for, it could be a year. And I know that's really frustrating, especially when you're sending your work out to multiple places to see if anybody's interested in publishing it. So hopefully, again, this will be more fulfilling. You'll feel like you have a better experience with us in terms of acquisition. So I don't know, Peter. Do you want me to explain what we did, or would you like to do it? Either way is all good. So
I'll fill in as backup if you would like to explain.
okay. So what we basically did is we got together all of our key acquisition editors, and we actually have an agency that represents us. And because they represent us, that means they represent all of our titles for any kind of licensing. So we have the head of the agency, as well as a wonderful woman who works with us in terms of any kind of pitches for our stories to go forward. And it can be for anything. It could be for TV, film, translation, audio book, comic book. Our titles have been put forward for all of that in the past. So and for the future. So we go through and we have a file that we pull together that lists everything from a summary of the piece, the author's bio, if there were any notes already associated with the title. We get the log line. So the log line is like the 2-sentence description of the title. We pull all of that together to do an initial a review with the everyone who's in this an acquisition meeting. And Typically, what we do is we actually pull up the piece in real time to get a fresh view into it. And then from there, we decide if it's an absolute yes, if it's a maybe, if it's a yes, maybe, which usually just means like we want to read more of the story. And then that way it narrows it down. So last time, or this first round, when we went through, I think we first had like around 800 submissions. We got that down to, I think it was 107 for us to review during these sessions. And then from there, we were able to narrow that down. Obviously, we need to, because we only publish, I always say between like 15 and 20 books. In reality, it varies each year, anywhere from 10 to 20. It just depends on our staff, what we can handle, all that kind of stuff. So, but our goal is that each year is to publish between 15 to 20. So with that, our first round, we got through the majority. We only hadn't gotten through, I want to say, about 40 pieces. The second round, we did the same process, right? We went through each one, everybody voted. And what's great about it is we get to have a real-time live open conversation with everyone who has a say in whether we acquire something or not, to talk about why, right? Because sometimes one person may love a piece, someone else might be like kind of iffy about it. Someone else may say, I just can't see us doing this. And so instead of it being something in like a submittable or through email, this way we can have a really nice open conversation about it. So we got it down to, I think it was 12 absolute yeses. So those authors that we identified as absolute yeses, you will hear from us, I'm going to say, by the end of this month. What we're doing now is we are reviewing all of the yeses and the yes maybes, basically, to say, do we want to publish them in 2023? Do we want to publish them in 2024? And again, this is something that everybody has, everyone who was in that meeting has a vote on. And that's to kind of, and it's also so that we can kind of round out our list a little bit better, because in the past we did this all really ad hoc. And because of that, it meant that some years maybe we published like 4 memoirs and like 2 short story collections, and maybe like 2 or 3 full-length pieces. Doing it this way, it enables us to take like 100 steps back, look at what we have planned, and then from there say, okay, what makes sense? What'll make this a more complete list of titles with a greater variety, if that makes sense. So I don't know. So Peter, what did you think about the whole process and how we did and everything?
I really enjoyed it. I liked how the 4 of us and then the 5 of us got together and decided on basically what how I took it is, some of us looked at the description, some of us looked at the log line, some of us looked at the writing, and some looked at everything in, like you said, a holistic approach. But it was interesting to see where each person was coming in to the situation to rate the book, just from different aspects. Another thing that I found interesting was having the other people's opinions right here in front of each other, in front of us, because that way we know, okay, Ben likes this type of book. Okay, let me look into it a little bit further. I'm not really thrilled on the writing, but I trust Ben. Joelle, on the other hand, likes this book. She likes this memoir or whatever. I'm just picking memoir at random. And so I trust her on this. And then we just go around, and we just really neat how we just gave the yes maybe, the no maybes, going through the whole process. I just thought it was really valuable. Every 3 or 4 months, it'll clean out the backlog. It'll clean out the slush pile. Because one of the things that I didn't like when I was writing for the press and didn't know how things worked was presses sometimes didn't get back to me for 6 months or a year and a half, or sometimes never. So even if it's bad news, it's still news. You still know what's going on. Like the one story the one novel that we picked that we gave feedback to and submitted it back to the author. That would have been huge for me back when I was first starting out. So I think it's a great process. I think that having the right people on the team really makes a huge difference. and it was actually fun. It was like a marathon sprint at the same time because they had all those titles, all those books, all different kinds. And we realized, okay, we've got 75 memoirs. Okay, we need to cut that down like 2 or 3. So we were able to see things from a 100-foot approach, like you were saying, a 10,000-foot view. So it's nice to see things as a whole. And then to go back to, for the next step is to go back and cull even further, figure it down to what, like you were saying, which goes in 23, which goes in 24, and which, this sounded good, it looked good when we first started, but not so much now. So it gives you a chance to take a step back and say, okay, well, maybe this needs a little bit more work, or really wasn't what we were looking for at the time. So we can pass on it and move on to the next story. I just thought it was a blast.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, I felt the same way. I thought it was great because, especially the whole like I trusted everybody in the room, and I knew that we're all very open people, which is really important, right, for this process, because you want to make sure everybody really has buy-in for the titles, and everyone understands why each other has the opinion or the thoughts or the preference that they do. So, like, to your point, like some people focused on the pitch, and if the pitch was too like cutesy, some people's response was like, well, I don't want to pick this up because it's too cutesy. Well, it's like, okay, well, look at the writing, right? Like, not that the person didn't look at the writing, but like, let's do that. And then, if it turns out that the piece itself is really solid, right, but maybe their critique or their pitch is cutesy, then that's okay. We can guide them, right, in making it a stronger summary, right, making
Right.
it a stronger pitch that can be used in the future. Because I think a lot of times authors, like, they just don't know, right? And like, we also found a lot of, well, I wouldn't say a lot, we found several ones where the pitch was amazing, but then when you dove into the writing itself, it was like the person had amazing coaching on pitching, but hadn't gotten the same level of coaching on the craft of writing, right?
No.
And that didn't happen too much, but it did happen. So
Trying to get your stuff out there, and you don't know what's on the other side of the email.
no.
There you are.
Okay, I lost you for a second, but I think you're back.
I'm back.
Okay, cool. Can you repeat that last part again? I'm sorry.
About being all by yourself outside of the being in the outside world. Not knowing how the publishing uh, uh, different publishers doing the best. Okay, the most.
Oh, this is so weird. Okay, it looks like we're freezing again. Let me see if I can fix this on my end. Sorry, guys. I really apologize for this. Okay, let me see if I can get this. Oh, now what's it doing? Really? Nope. All right, I'll be right back.